let's begin with our first plenary session, which is a panel discussion. The theme of it is reinterpreting pedestrian spaces in the Global South through the lens of theory and practice. This panel brings together distinguished experts from the field of urban policy, mobility planning, transport, and academia to reflect on how pedestrian spaces can be reimagined to respond to the unique social, cultural, and spatial realities of cities in the Global South. I would like to first introduce our esteemed panelists before I call them to the dais. Our first panelist, Dr. Depulina Kundu, Director, National Institute of Urban Affairs. We are delighted to have her continue the conversation as part of this distinguished panel. She has joined us online. Dr. Kundu is a distinguished urban policy expert, development studies scholar, and researcher with over 2 decades of experience in urban development, governance, and inclusive planning. At NIUA, she holds the prestigious HUDCO chair and leads several nationally and internationally recognized research initiatives on sustainable cities, urban governance, migration, housing, and social inclusion. She has also served as an urban specialist with the Asian Development Bank and has led significant policy studies for the Government of India. Our second panelist is Shri R. Srinivas, Honorary Secretary of the Institute of Urban Transport and former Town and Country Planner at the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. With over 3 decades of experience in urban and regional planning, Shri Srinivas Sir has made significant contributions to India's planning framework, including the preparation of the URDPFI guidelines and the model building bylaws. His work has played a pivotal role in spatial planning policy, transportation policy, and institutional development across the country. Our next panelist is Dr. Himanshu Burte, Associate Professor at the Ashan Desai Center for Policy Studies, IIT Bombay. Dr. Burte is an eminent architect, urbanist, researcher, and educator whose work bridges architecture, urban planning, and public policy. His scholarly work has significantly shaped critical thinking of urban policy and the built environment. Dr. Burte is also a co-founder of Gubby Alliance of Sustainable Habitat, GASH. A former Fulbright Fellow at the University of California, Berkeley, he has made substantial contribution to advancing critical discourse on sustainable urbanism, urban policy, and architecture through research, teaching, and practice. Next, I would like to introduce our fourth panelist, Dr. Anand Vadvekar, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Urban Design, SPA, Delhi. SPA Bhopal. An architect and urban designer with academic training from SP Delhi and Hokkaido University, Japan, Dr. Vadvekar's research focuses on South Asian urbanism, urban nature, urban history, and resilient city planning. His work explores the evolving relationship between urban form, public spaces, and the socio-cultural dynamics that shape cities. With over 15 years of teaching and research experience, he has contributed to several national and international research and consultancy projects, including mapping the social-spatial divide in Indian cities, building resilient urban communities, BIEU.com. The Design Innovator Center, Shelter for All Initiative, and the Urban Development Plan of Samdru Jonkar, Bhutan. Our next panelist is Ms. Ashwati Devi, Managing Director at ITDP India. To moderate this engaging discussion, it is my pleasure to invite Dr. Preeti Onkar, Professor, Department of Architecture and Planning Management. With over 2 decades of experience in research projects, academic and consultancy projects, she has worked on various Government of India and Government of Madhya Pradesh projects, including PMAY, JNNURM, and AMRUT. Her recent work has been on river health and community health interaction, along with the river side of Narmada. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome all our panelists to the dais. I request everyone to please join us on the dais. I request all the panelists to please come to the dais, and we can begin with our discussion. Can we have a round of applause to welcome them? I also request Preeti ma'am to please briefly tell us how the panel discussion will further go on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, we are really lucky to have so many good experts with us on this occasion. So with the panel discussions, we have fixed 15-minute slots for each panelist. And at the end of the panel sessions, we will be having informal discussions. Since it's basically on an informal topic, so we'll more have an informal discussion in which even the audience can participate. And probably I'll ask you one by one if there are any questions. So we can start with the panelists now. Thank you.
Let's begin with our first panelist, Dr. Debrina Kundu ma'am. She has joined us online. She has a presentation for us. Ma'am, can we please begin? Can you not see the presentation? Actually, yes. Can you show the lights above the TV? Ma'am, just a second. I think you're not audible.
from here. Or you can speak from there. Okay. I think I'll have to see from the laptop. Can you check here?
Can you see there?
On side the front property. I'd like to thank the organizing committee and the session chair for giving me the opportunity to make this presentation. I will try to stick to the time because I've already been directed to it only 15 minutes. To take more time since I have been involved in academic section. So I'll just tell about from the governance point of view, because Professor Benjit had mentioned that we should try to highlight the work which has been undertaken by the Institute of Urban Transport. Quickly, sorry, the font sizes. I hope you are able to see, but I'm absolutely sorry for small fonts. So actually, prior to 2006, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, Government of India had not emphasized much on the pedestrian infrastructure, or should call it as an NME infrastructure, which should include both cycle as well as pedestrian track. But yes, post 2006, especially in the era of JNRM, which was essentially a reform-centric mission, Government of India seriously start thinking about the pedestrian infrastructure. And yes, we do have the NUTP policy. In the morning I mentioned the quote of NUTP, move people, not the vehicle. And followed by, we also had the national TOD policy as well as national metro rail policy, which also emphasized on the strengthening the pedestrian infrastructure. Of course, everyone is aware of the URDFA guidance, which has also got a section on to promote integrated multimodal and people-centric approach to urban mobility. And yes, post 2014, when we had Amrit 1 and then followed by Amrit 2, mission also emphasized on the pedestrian infrastructure, and you can see that almost 346 green mobility projects were accomplished, and it also created 475 kilometers of walkways and cycle track. And yes, under the special assistance to the states, under this also emphasis was given to climate sustainability reforms for walkable safe streets. And you could see, I'm sharing the presentation. Students can, see the presentation where, we had, post 2014, we had, a lot of guidance, which includes, the national TOD policy, national urban transport policy, right of way, respect the right of way. That's a very important publication from the Ministry of Road. And so, who maintains the footpath? That's a very important question with regard to the governance. And of course, everyone is aware about the constitutional obligation, towards the pedestrian right. And as per the 12th schedule, Constitution of India, the overall operation and maintenance of road rests with the urban local bodies as well as the urban development authorities. And yes, if you could kindly see, there is, recent, direction from the Supreme Court, right to walk on footpath is a fundamental right. Now we have to see how city authorities, especially the ULBs as well as, urban development authorities, how they are really sensitized towards the direction. Compliance to the Supreme Court, has to be ensured. And in fact, if they don't comply, Supreme Court should come with a strong, if you do not comply, we are going to penalize the commissioner as well as vice chairman of the urban development authority. Then you will see actual, implementation will take place on the ground. URDP guidance I am not going to mention. Yes, focus on, NMB infrastructure, absolutely post 2006 I have mentioned. Government of India along with the state governments have been, sensitizing the local bodies officials and urban development authorities and town planners working in town planning department to ensure that how we are going to have NMB infrastructure. The walkability gap, as per the climate smart assessment framework, which I was also involved, only 22 out of 126 participant cities had NMB infrastructure. This is a matter of concern. Absolutely, cities have not focused on strengthening the pedestrian infrastructure. Now, of course, why it matters? Walking is a basic human right. Every citizen depends on its access opportunity. That's absolutely important. On the right side, we were involved in, if you recall, the National Sustainable Habitat Parameters. We had actually involved the Sustainable Habitat Parameters with respect to urban transport, where Shreya Gadikali was, the team leader of that entire task. And now, since I have been involved in urban transport, we have also been mandated to, not only appraise the metro reports, the comprehensive mobility plan. There we actually, by appraising, we are taking this, aspect. How cities actually are, really encouraging to strengthen the, NMB infrastructure. So, of course, IoT is engaged in, capacity building for the town planners, especially in the urban transport sector. And yes, recently we have also trained the metro officials. Metro officials absolutely, they are not aware of the spatial plan aspects. So now what we thought that they have developed a lot of interest in, at least now they are talking about the comprehensive mobility plan, not only the metro within the station, but again, there has been sensitization towards station area development. Now please recall, I don't know how many of you have actually read the Smart City Mission Guidance. I will read it because Smart City Mission actually advocated the area-based strategy. So as a follow-up the area-based strategy, now we have local area plans, we have TOD plans, we have station area plans. So a lot of things, coming, especially we call it as a decentralized approach towards the spatial planning and area planning with a short perspective period within 10 years. Every 2 years you can, review the, plan, and actually you can implement in a shorter period of time. And of course, now Ministry is also considering IoT to be the center of excellence in urban transport. We have submitted the proposal. Yes, the biggest, challenge that how much the urban local bodies or urban development authorities are actually allocating the fund for strengthening the NMB infrastructure. Of course, I could not get that detail, but of course, this is also sourced from the, web. You can see that BMC, BBMP, Bangalore and Chennai, of course, she has done a lot of work for the Chennai. Now there is a realization that you need to allocate the funds for the NMB infrastructure. Now on the right side, see, how the municipal corporation, they are moving from, grant-based, approach to generating their own resources. Now you can see that Bangalore has actually overtaken Delhi. So Delhi being the state capital and being pampered by the central government, actually municipal corporation of Bangalore has overtaken Delhi in terms of their own resource generation. And even I am of the opinion that right now they are only saying that 1% we are going to allocate. But time has come, you need to enhance the allocation, and even if I calculate 5%, it will run in more than 100 crores. So definitely, the municipal and the urban development officials should get sensitized that they should rather, force the municipal commissioners to go for enhanced allocation for the NMB infrastructure. And yes, this study which we have conducted, and we are going to submit the, the proposal for, multimodal, hub, which is another. I hope those who have gone to Delhi, they must have seen, there are absolutely a lot of challenges. This is one of the country's first, example where, there is a seamless integration between different modes of transport, which include, our metro, then our conventional railways, and then RRTS, which has come, and it is slowly picking up the ridership. And of course, we do have the, the bus services, the Uttar Pradesh, State Road Corporation, Delhi Transport Corporation, DIMS, all this, getting integrated. But, the challenge is that how, of course, infrastructure they have laid, but again, whether it is pedestrian friendly or not. See, if you are coming to this, you have to, travel by foot to change the, the mode of transportation. And how effective is that? That is, that we have actually studied. And how, people feel ease at walking, is it, within 5 to 6 or 7 minutes you can change the mode of transportation. That actually we have been working on that. And of course, this is, multimodal integration. We have also calculated the, the area under different, uses. And yes, of course, the overall vision is to ensure, to encourage the pedestrian, related activities, and also plan for multi-utility, activities. Because we have seen at the ground there are a lot of challenges. Of course, they have developed pedestrian activities. But what happened on the arterial road? We do have a typical. If you see the cross section, we do have the provision of the pedestrian track as well as multi-utility zone. But unfortunately, most of the vendors, they have actually occupied the pedestrian track. Now with the enforcement of MCD, what they have removed all the the vendors, but what happened, they have actually come on the carriage. So there is absolutely, multimodal integration should not lead to multimodal chaos. That becomes very much important. This actually we are working that how to resolve. Of course, entry and exit to the bus, it is quite smooth. But again, when it comes to pedestrian, you can see, the photographs there is a, pedestrian type people, but the way, the buses comes out nowadays, it is really, it is very hazardous, I will say. It may take, because they come very fast. And somewhere the police, bandobast or police enforcement is a little bit lacking. And of course, this is also, shows the, the entry exit of the buses. Now, parking also, there are dedicated spaces for the park. But again, it comes when it comes to enforcement, virtually the paratransits, paratransits parking provision has been given, but again, a bit typical mindset. The moment I get out of the, the metro or RRTS, immediately I want the paratransit right at the full stop. अब हमने survey किया, we had conducted survey. I don't know, our mindset that we thrive in chaos. People do not have any complaint. कहते ठीक है अभी वैसे ही मैं स्टेशन से बाहर आता हूँ मुझे ऑटो मिल जाता है and that too it is very affordable. Point to point auto is there 20 से 30 रुपए लगते हैं. So that's how we were trying to assess the overall mindset of the people, and they don't have much complaint, but of course there's this area it's huge footfall. The entire eastern India, it seems that they come to that and go take the train towards the Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. It's a huge footfall. Then it becomes a very big challenge to regulate the movement of pedestrians. So parking analysis have done. Parking the spaces have been